Hey everyone, this is Sajid from Market and Grow. So today we are going to talk about PII. PII basically stands for personally identifiable information, and especially when it comes to PII and Google Analytics. So what I mean by that is in Google Analytics, we can capture a lot of stuff, right? All the URLs and everything, UTM parameters and everything. And oftentimes businesses accidentally or knowingly pass. I don't think they do it knowingly, but I think they do it accidentally because they've hired someone who doesn't know the implications of PII in Google Analytics and they just pass it on, right? And this is something, what happens is Google doesn't like that. Well, I think it's putting it very lightly by saying Google doesn't like that because it's a serious offense. Because remember, Google is $1 trillion business, $1 trillion+ business, and they do this business because of they collect all this information about us, and they don't want PII in Google Analytics because when you have Google PII in Google Analytics, and especially with legislations in European Union such as GDPR or privacy around privacy, the data stays within Google, right? Google could get fined, banned. A lot of things can happen. Their ad business can suffer. There could be bad publicity, and so this is something very serious to Google. And when Google finds out that you have PII in your Google Analytics, what they will do is they will go to the extent of canceling and banning you from Google platform completely. Not just Google Analytics, but Google Tag Manager, Google Ads, everything, YouTube, and everything. And it has happened. I've seen that. Even recently, I've seen that. Someone posted in a Facebook group saying, hey, we were collecting PII in Google Analytics, and that was an accident. Our account got shut down. How do we reactivate? And the sad thing is there is no way to reactivate Google Analytics. Is mostly free unless you're using Google Marketing Suite 360 or Google, the paid program, which is main for enterprise. Even then I wouldn't know if Google would like that or not. Maybe it will, because now you are boxed into your corporate settings and corporate data. But for most businesses, small to medium size, we are using Google Analytics for free, and PII goes, if PII is being passed into Google Analytics, then it stays there. And then if there was ever an audit, Google would get fined. And if ever Google finds that, which they do eventually, because they have billions of users, so you could just get around to not getting caught for 6 months, 6 years, but one day they will get around to it. I know this for a fact, just because we were able to speed on the highway. We were able to drive 80 miles an hour on a 55 mile per hour road or highway. One day doesn't mean we will always be able to get away with it and not get caught by the police, right, and get a speeding ticket. Similarly, you could just because you are getting away today doesn't mean you are going to get around tomorrow. Now, I know I've kind of given you a lot of things, but what is PII? And here is, I have in front of me is a site from Google, which is basically talks about PII. And a lot of these people out there, like a lot of the consultants and a lot of these marketeers, they are not aware of this, right? Again, it's for us as the business owner to know all this stuff, because again, Google is not going to forgive us, right? It goes back to this point where I was once parked in front of on the street, and I was very close to the driveway, right, to the house that I was parked in front of, right? And the county police came by, drove by, and they saw this and they gave me a ticket. And I was like, I think it was a $25 ticket, but the amount on the ticket is not too, not a lot, but there was a lesson in it. But the lesson was, I asked him, why did you give me a ticket? And he was like, over there, he told me, you're parked, you are not supposed to park within 10 feet of a driveway. And I was like, I didn't know that, right? And he was like, that's for you to know, that's the county law. I was like shocked. But because it was a $25, I was like, okay, fine, $25, I'll write the check and I'll get over it. It's a parking violation. But imagine getting a ticket because you were parked within 10 feet of a driveway. And I was parking on the street, right? I was street parking in front of a house. I was within 10 feet of a driveway and I got a ticket, and they were like, oops, sorry, that's the law right now. So where I'm going with this is, it's for us as business owners and to know what it is about PII. So here in this page, what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to quickly check and say, right here, and Google specifically says, special care should be taken to ensure no PII such as names, social security numbers, email addresses, or any other similar personal identifiers or data that permanently identifies a particular device, such as a user's mobile phones, unique device ID, unique device identifier, um, is sent to analytics when using the following features, right? So this is what Google talks about, right? Uh, because right above that it says PII entered by users. So why am I sharing this today is because just now I went ahead and I filled out an application form for, and I'm blurring this out because I don't want to really call out the business or the entrepreneur who's doing this. But I just want to quickly share with you, this, I filled out an application form just to test, as a, and what I realized is that they are sending, so from the landing page it went to Infusionsoft, and from Infusionsoft it went to a thank you page or some other page, right? So what happened here is, when I look at this URL, I see a lot of UTM parameters, a lot of custom parameters, a lot of the data that I've entered was actually getting passed from the application page into Infusionsoft to this page. And if I keep going through it, at one point, as you will see is, um, at one point you will see that there is PII involved, right? Here we go. This is the end of it. Here we go. They're passing email address, right? Let me bring it here just so that you can see, because see, email address is being passed around, right? So why this matters is because when you are passing email address, and I know they're using, well, I feel like they're using Google Analytics here, because when I go into the source code, right, and if I highlight this portion, you will see they're using Google Tag Manager. And whenever a business is using Google Tag Manager, this is a very good indication that they're also using Google Analytics behind it, right? Google Tag Manager is a very advanced stuff where usually people don't want to expose their Google Analytics account ID, and they're probably using loading a lot of other pixels and other stuff. And so what that basically tells me, but aside from that, what this is basically telling me is that there is this business is using Google Analytics, so it is passing some of this information into Google Analytics. Now this business owner may not know this, may know this. I doubt they would know this, because they probably outsourced it to, or they hired someone who's quote unquote a marketeer, and obviously that person doesn't know this, because it's not keeping up to date with all the information in the space. And again, it's not an up-to-date information. This has been around for a while. Google does not like PII information in analytics or any of their stuff. They don't like capturing us into the point where we are not allowed to even identify people by their IP address, right? Google Analytics doesn't allow that, but there are ways around it. You could do it, and that's fine. But if Google ever finds out that you're trying to identify a particular user, they will throw it out. Just especially because of all the issues that happened around Cambridge Analytica and 2016 US presidential election. It's just like really a no go space. So folks, and the other thing I will tell you is that so the way it worked was, this business is running was like they had a landing page built in ClickFunnels. How do I know? Well, when I look at the source code, I see obviously any ClickFunnels page will always start with clickfunnels.com. That's a standard. You look at any ClickFunnels page, any landing page, any funnel page built with ClickFunnels, you'll see that first. Right? So that's something I know this for a fact. So the way it worked was ClickFunnels, you submit a click button, and it captures a lot of stuff. Because it was going from ClickFunnels into Infusionsoft and Infusionsoft back into ClickFunnels, it's passing all this data back and forth through using the URL. And how do I know this? I used to be a software engineer. I'm trained as a software engineer. I worked as a software engineer. I know this is how you do pass information back and forth between two domains. There are other ways you could do it. You could do it through a cookie, but I think the person who set it all up probably is not very familiar. And this is why I say, knowing technology is much, having experience in technology and programming is very, very helpful these days for marketeers. You cannot really go the other way around, because most marketeers are marketeers. They just know how to run ads, and they just know how to do, setting up ads is easy, right? You can go point, click, 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 $50 budget per day, and use artwork, copywriting. But what you need to bring in is the technological experience. Because now, if you're passing data back and forth, you need to ask yourself, especially between two domains, right? From ClickFunnels, whatever your domain is, to Infusionsoft, and it could be any other CRM, right? And from there to another system, right back into that thank you page, which is another system. You don't want to keep passing things around with using your you know URL, because if you do this, what happens is that you will accidentally pass on PII. And this may also happen with Calendly. So if you have a Calendly page, if you have a ClickFunnels page and you're going into Calendly and from Calendly back into something, I haven't tested it. I can test it out and I'll let you know if there's enough requests for that. But I'm just saying, you have to be very careful. And not everyone uses Google Analytics with the Calendly page, but if you are using it, you need to be super careful. So where am I going with this is, folks, if you are using Google Analytics and you're passing data back and forth across domains, or even within the same domain through software such as ClickFunnels or Funnel, whatever, Drop Funnels or anything like that. I haven't tested it all. I don't have anything against ClickFunnels. I think they're a good product. They make it very highly easy to build up a page and throw it out. But if you're doing anything like this, you want to be extremely careful that you are not accidentally passing PII, because if you do, you're going to shut down. And trust me, Google knows. Google knows businesses that have been shut down or they have been banned. Well, one is you get shut down, right? And then what happens is, like, there are smart people out there. They will suggest you, well, you've been shut down, so why don't you go ahead and create a new account, use a new email address, use a new credit card, you use a new IP address, use a new machine, and then Google won't catch you. But guess what? Google will eventually catch you. You have to be extremely, extremely careful. So you don't want to get to that. You don't want to get to that spot. I'm sharing this with you from what I've seen. My accounts have never been shut down, so I cannot tell you how to reactivate accounts. Maybe there are other people who will tell you, but I've known people who have posted in groups and chats and all discussions saying our accounts got shut down. We tried to, circumvent the policy by, creating new accounts and do masking all this stuff, and they eventually caught us, and now we've been banned for life. Imagine if you don't have Google Analytics, what's your option? You will run campaigns without any analytics, one, or you have to go get paid analytics such as Adobe, which is hundreds of dollars. I believe it's $600, $700 a month, or web trends or things like that. I do not know who are the other key analytics providers or players in the space, but from the free angle, Google is the king, right? So you want to be careful around analytics. That if you are passing data into Google, you want to make sure you're not putting Google Analytics in there, and you want to audit it, right? It's good, like, I believe there was one person, I think it was Reagan, who says trust but verify. So you should always get a third party to come in and audit your system. Audit your system, audit your Google Analytics. You'd be surprised what you find. Because I remember once we had a project, I had a project where, our businesses, they were doing about 10 million a year revenue. And they came to us for an audit. And, we audited it was an e-commerce venture, and we audited and we found lots of stuff that we should not be in Google Analytics, plus the fact that Google Analytics was a mess, hot mess. So again, I digress. Where I'm coming with this is be very, very careful of the data you're putting into Google Analytics. A lot of people either just put in the Google Analytics code and just forget it and say, oh, all my data is being tracked, I love it. Guess what? If Google finds out, you're in trouble. There are ways around it. Build a proper solution. As your business owner, you'll be thankful. If not, you're just going to, and if you want to spend $600 a month per month on an analytics solution, enterprise grade, that tracks and gives you the right data, please, by all means, go ahead. And maybe that you have the problem, you have the revenue to support that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you do not have it and you are going to be banking on Google Analytics, then it's best for you to kind of get a audit or take a second look and make sure your advertiser, Mr. or Miss Advertiser, whoever it is doing the right thing and not doing something wrong by accident. Thank you. Until next time, bye bye.